Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Paddy from across the shuck, and you're very welcome back to the channel. Well, I have no idea what the title is going to be because it's changed from what I started and what I thought I was going to talk about, which is nothing unusual for me. And it might be prolonged a little bit just by me waffling on. But it's, I was going to do a review. I'll tell you what's going to happen. I was going to do a long-term review on this knife. Now, this is one of the nicest knives in my collection. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is a Dean Robertson, an American custom maker, and it's the Dino pattern, which, there you go, has this beautiful blade shape, great point. And it's a bit like a native kind of a pattern, that sort of the shape of the blade. I'm not sure, but that's what it looks like to me. But it's a Dino pattern anyway. This is it. It has a lovely long swooping handle coming to an end here. I just love the shape of it. You know, it's like a gun. It's like holding a gun sort of stock. It's that sort of a shape. Incredibly comfortable in hand. But it's the looks of this knife, and especially the jigging. If you know me and you've been about my channel, you know jigging I absolutely love. But this is satin, hand-rubbed satin finish. But that jigging and the attention to detail in this knife is just beautiful. It is a gorgeous custom knife, a handmade knife. I'm not even sure what the blade steel is in this. I think it might be CPM 154, not sure. Have I sharpened it? Yes. But have I done a deep sharpen on it? No. It's not a mirror finish. It's absolutely hair-splitting sharp. I mean, there's nothing that... Oh, there he goes. This is so lovely, lovely edge on it. And I haven't footed with it to do this video. I just took it out of the case. It's a beautiful cutting knife. It's just everything you would want, or I would want, in a tool. But this tool's about £300 to buy. And for the first time, probably ever, I bought this knife knowing I was going to use it as a normal EDC knife. Never really done that before with such an expensive knife. And this set me off on another thing. Has age and maybe time around changed my opinion of what I'm buying and using now than it would have done before? And it has to change. I mean, we all change. We come around. It used to be more that it was people came around, started in budget and worked their way up. But COVID changed all that. COVID played a huge part in the knife industry. First of all, people who were, you know, management level, people who had a bit more cash to spare were sitting at home with nothing to do, and they maybe were, you know, knife enthusiasts that have bought, you know, that have bought themselves a few knives here and there. But it then turned into a hobby. It was something to do in the house. And we got thousands upon new collectors during COVID. Now, a lot of them have gone already, but that's the nature of a hobby. People will come and go. And that's great because it's fresh blood coming in all the time instead of listening to silly old farts like myself. But I was thinking, you know, what a change in my collecting that I would see a knife, love it. It cost £300 and I bought it as a user because it just looked like something that I couldn't leave sitting down. I mean, it's got the dramatic look because that jigging is beautiful. The colour is beautiful. This is ivory in here, this stag's head. I mean, everything about this is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. The shape, I'd never had one the shape before, the pattern. But it just appealed to me. But I knew I wanted to use it. And I can't explain where that came from, where it changed, because most £300 knives I buy, I'm going to baby a lot. You know, that was the case once I started getting up to this price range. They were babied a lot. And I know, as if to prove that, I bought this one to remind myself of my father when I got when the estate was all divided up and I was a few quid, and I bought this just to remind me of him. He wasn't a knife person, but I think I bought it nearly because it would have made him turn in his grave. The amount of, this was a £300 knife quite a few years ago. But I love it. It's the Hinderer slip joint. It's one of the best slip joints I think ever made. It's just perfect. It's modern, but it's just perfect. Absolutely. Everything about the design, how you hold it, where you hold it, the freedom to move up and down on this knife is just amazing. 20 CV blade steel. It's beautiful. And you can see a nice mirror edge on that there. That dictates in my collection, if you see something that's got a really nice mirror edge. Now, this is probably not as good as other people will do, but it's good enough for me as a mirror edge. That means I probably don't use it a lot, because I don't see the point of having a mirror edge on a knife that you're going to use every day. It just gets damaged so quickly. I mean, to me, it's just pointless. But this is nearly a show knife now. And I do carry it every now and then, and I will use it for just EDC tasks. But I'm not a heavy user, so you've got to take that into consideration too. Most of my knives don't get damaged. They might get scratched up, and you can sort of see that with this already. When I bought this, it wasn't all scratched up. I mean, you can see, if I bring this up close, you can see there's scratch marks all over it. You can see them, even up around here. This has just been used, and I've loved every second of carrying and using this. But to get back to COVID, sort of changed. So people with sort of probably more money to spare than most newbies that would have come into the hobby. You know, most people come in at the bottom and worked up, but this is just my observation. It might be totally wrong, but it's what I sort of picked up on. The people were coming into the hobby that had more spare cash to spend. So they came in at a much higher range of price range to buy knives. So that, I mean, it then became very quickly 300, 400, 500 was very usual knives that you've seen from a lot of people on channels. And that's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fantastic to be able to come in that. But I still have that feeling that not starting a bit lower and coming up, you do miss certain things. Like, I remember this was my most expensive knife at one time, and this was a gift. But I felt I was petrified. And you can see this has got a nicer edge than normal on this. I don't use this as much as I did. I used this, but it took me a while before I used it properly. I mean, this knife has been it was well and truly used before I got it, but looked after by Jeff Jewell. It's now got scratches that Jeff hadn't put on it. It had been adapted here so you could sneak up and get a wee quick grip there if you wanted to get close. It was just, and it still is, one of the best knives in my collection. I'm sorry, I just think it is amazing. But I was really hesitant to use it. And I think at the time, this was probably about $150, $160 to buy, which was a horrendous price to me to pay for a knife. But when I got it, it was just a dream come true. And I've still hold it in that same esteem as I did back then, which I can never figure that out. But I do, and I still think it's every bit as good as it was in, 25 years old this pattern is. And it's still as good and still selling today. So we buy knives for different reasons. The Hinderer was a sentimental buy. That was a gift, but they were my high end of knives. And I mean, I've got to that stage now where people in COVID were starting to come in and they were buying knives at 300, 350. I don't buy a lot of them. And most of it is trade and cash or whatever to get them. I don't have that spare cash. I have my pensioner now, so I don't have the spare cash, but I get by. Don't get me wrong. This is not a poverty. It's just, but I do like now trading, putting money to and buying higher end knives. But most of them I use, and most of them I'm buying them to use. Again, not a heavy user, but I like using my knives, and I like using them even when I don't need to, like getting a bit of log and using it to test out my Hinderer, like we did up on the stump. My Spidey Chef. This is my second one. The first one I bought cost me £300, and I sold it to buy something else. and I regretted it. Oh gosh, I'm going to blooming stab myself. That's twice in a week. I loved this knife when I bought it originally. Again, I bought this to use, and I used it in the kitchen mostly. I just loved it as a knife. As an EDC, it was lovely. I don't tend to carry big EDCs about anymore. Again, that's just through time and my use. I can get away with a 3.5-inch closed knife all day long. Absolutely not a problem. But it took me 2 years to get this back again, where I had that cash and the inclination to buy it, because when you've already had one on your channel, buying another one, you don't tend to do a lot of reviews on it. It doesn't become part of the in crowd all of a sudden, but it's a knife that you love and you want to have in your collection. This is not going anywhere again now, he says, because I do say that a lot, and then the next week they're blooming gone. But I can't see this going, because it is a user. I still use it in the kitchen. I love it. And I got this one, and the thing that got it for me, it was already acid stone washed. It has been damaged, it's been dented, it's been used. Look at that handle. I mean, this is a typical used knife, and I love everything about it. Every single thing about it. A user. This year, I got my own personal record, £650 for this Chris Reeves 31 with the black micarta and Magna Cut blade. It's a dream knife. It's an absolute dream knife. And it's my third Chris Reeve I've bought and sold. The other ones I started off with the slightly smaller Insingo. The Sebenza, not the Sebenza. I bought, oh God, my head's gone now. Oh, out of my head. Anyway, the slightly smaller model in this one has the double finger grooves in it. And I sold it because it was just too small and I wanted something else, and I used it. Then I got this model with a fancy, beautiful burlwood handles, and it was just S35 VN, but it was really high-end fancy. Probably worth about, I don't know, 500 it would have cost, say, 450, 500 new at the time. It was beautiful, but I couldn't use it. It was no more beautiful than this, but I think that price difference just meant that I just found myself not wanting to use it. So it just had to go, so I sold it and bought something else. But I got the chance this year where I had stuff to trade, a bit of money to put with it, and I bought this from Frank at Fraymar Knives. Best decision I ever made. I adore this back in my collection. This one, I have a large, and I can get all 4 fingers on this, incredibly comfortable, and I've used it, not abused it, but I've used it, and I carry it and use it regular. I adore it. It's got a good edge on it, but really, to be honest with you, all I've done with this edge is stropped it since I've had it. That's all I've done. I haven't had to do a full sharpen on it. It literally is a ceramic stone, and this is back to normal, and a strop. So I do use knives that are expensive, and I bought this with the sole purpose. So does age play a part in it? Or is it just time of having the knives and keeping? If you keep a knife long enough around, will you necessarily use it? I don't know. Not sure on that one. But I do believe age it's funny. You get to 65 and, you've had a full life. You've had, 3 lifetimes. And I don't have any kids. Well, I've got plenty of blooming kids. We had 10 children between us. We've got 27 grandchildren. So, I mean, I've got people, but nobody is interested in my knives at the moment. Nobody wants to take my collection on. And when you think of life and say, I've got 10 good years left, that will I stick at YouTube that long? I don't know if I'll stick in around another 10 years, but I'm saying up to 75, I've got 10 good years. I could go on for 20 or 30, but I'm just, the law of averages, got 10 good years. Why not use my knives? Why not use my knives? And it makes this all clear. And I think at age creeps up, you think, well, what's the point of having it there? Is it just to show off to people? Is it? And I enjoy doing that too. I enjoy showing my knives because it costs money to build a collection up and to be a YouTuber. And it's money you don't get back again. Do you know what I mean? You're doing this as your hobby. It's like fishing. You'll buy the top end fishing rod and you'll go for the next super one. Like golf, I bought the top end clubs and I'd save up until I'd buy another set of them. And so I've always done that all my life. When you start a hobby, you start at the beginning and then you work up through it. And usually by the time I get to the stage where I'm buying high end ones, I'm bored with the hobby. But this hobby has been different. This hobby has definitely been different. In fact, now I think I'm more enthusiastic than I ever was. Which, again, quite strange because I'm not a real heavy user. I can understand in my working life, if I had knives and, wanted to upgrade and use the knives. But I don't. I'm just a collector now more than a YouTuber even, because I don't rotate. My collection doesn't rotate anywhere near as much as it did 5, 6, 7 years ago. One, because I can't afford it, because the knives I like are a bit more expensive now. So I don't know that this is hitting any, but the age thing has definitely made it easier to spend £300 on a knife. This was 300, this was 600. It's so much easier to drop a lot of money on a knife and still use it. And even if you use it the way I do, which is the most medium use, I use it a bit more because I'm a YouTuber and I take it down, I'll use it in a stump, but it's not on daily heavy use. But it is being used because I want to know how good that knife is when I put it to certain difficult tasks, the harder tasks. I want to know that when I'm doing a review on it, it's a genuine, this going through wood is absolutely amazing. And until you get a lump of wood and start taking chunks out of it with this, you don't realize just how good it is. This, as a Spidey chef, it's not thin enough to be an ultra slicey knife, but it's got that tall, flat grind down to a really relevant edge, and it'll slice everything I need it to slice. I don't need it to be any thinner because it's not a chef knife per se. It's just that look and that shape, and it's great. It's a great bushcraft camping chef's knife. It's that sort of thing. It's not the real chef's thing, but as an EDC knife, it's fantastic. As a knife in the kitchen, it gives me pleasure using it. And then it comes to this was a £650 knife, and so is this about the same value. Now, I traded for this, and it was another expensive knife I traded. And I got this one recently. Now, it's an old South African. I believe he has passed away now. My apologies are wrong, but it's a Willie Paulsen, and it's Paulsen. Somebody had asked me, was it SON? And I had said yes, but it's not. This didn't come with documents, but in the inside there, let me just show you. The maker actually put his name on the inside. So I don't know whether you can see that at the bottom. Can't really see it. His name is in the bottom there. Anyway, his name's in the bottom there. This is a beautiful, and the reason it's not very clear is because this is in a beautiful Damascus. Beautiful Damascus. Absolutely lovely. And so is the back spring, which I just think looks stunning. Absolutely stunning. Such a beautifully made knife. This is ivory. Again, this is an older knife maker who's passed on. This was made and sold during the era where you could do that sort of thing. And even when it was legal, it was, this is where the ivory came from. It's not new ivory. It's not anything like that. South African maker as well. So very strict rules for exporting. So a gorgeous, gorgeous knife in a material that I never thought I wanted, but when I got the chance, by George, I'd seen lots of other people that had knives made in this, and it is just beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. It's been cared for and kept. Has it got a wonderful edge on it? No. Will I put an edge on it? No, because I'm not going to take away Damascus that I don't need to. Do you know what I mean? And this is one of those knives. It's just in my drawer. I sharpened it. Oh. But it's not even a super edge on it. I just give it a quick so that I could do a cut. Will I sharpen it? Yes, I will. I mean, this really wasn't a good example. It is sharp enough, but it's not even sharp enough that I would use on a day-to-day basis yet, because I'm in that thing now, whereas unlike this, when I bought it, I knew I was going to use it, sharpened it straight away. This, I haven't sharpened straight away because I'm still on that line. Will I use this or just keep this for show? And I'm almost at the point where I'm going to put an edge on it. I'm at that point now where I think I'm going to risk putting an edge on it. There's never been a proper edge put on it. That I think, you know, it's an all right edge, probably done by the maker and just gone, you know, it still feels sharp enough, but it wouldn't take me 2 seconds to put an edge on it. But I'm in that, am I going to do that to this beautiful knife that I just bought because of the clean lines? And again, it's that native pattern, which what drew me to it, because I love this so much. You can sort of see the blade shape, slightly different, but you can see that native pattern, or not native. Oh, for goodness sake, Stephen, you see, this is the other thing that age does. It wrecks your brain. Absolutely wrecks your brain. But very similar in shape. This is bigger, heavier. You know, is it thicker? Not really. It's just bigger and thicker with a heavier, denser ivory on it. Stainless steel, bigger, much bigger bolster if I put them down beside each other. It's a bigger knife in totality. But yeah, I mean, this pattern is just gorgeous. I absolutely, the Dino pattern, D-I-N-O, Dino pattern. I just adore it, and I adore the blade shape, but I'm still undecided whether I'm going to use it. And I know that the using is going to win. I know it is going to win, because the first time I have to go to an occasion, you know, like a wedding, or more likely a funeral, I'll be taking this. This will be in my pocket. It's UK legal. It looks big but it's UK legal, fully UK legal. So I know I will use it. So it's just, and that's the thing with me, is once I sharpen it, I know I'll take it out and use it. I know I will take it out and use it. And I'm not scared of that anymore. But what I keep saying to myself is now, but I've got this. This is a beautiful knife to take to a wedding. This is twice the price. Do I risk taking this? And what happens if you drop it? Can you imagine breaking that ivory bone, cracking it, or doing something? But this is the thing where age sort of things. Again, probably got a good 10 years of social life and whatever, you know, as it is now, where I can go and meet and do things with people. I don't know how long that's going to last for. We never know. Nobody knows. And I think I would turn in my grave if I didn't get to use this. If I didn't get to use it, I think, because this is a keeper, as is this. And, you know, these are 4 knives that I can't see leaving my collection. And there's 5. You know, I've come a long way since Ganzo, which this was my most popular knife brand when I came around, was Ganzo. I had a couple of half-decent knives, like a Delica and things like that, but this was Ganzos were the knife brand that I had back then. And that's when they did say Ganzo on them. So the knife collecting has come a long way with me. I've enjoyed the ride all the way up to now, having high-end knives. And this is what I call high-end. I don't need to go up into the thousands, because to do that I would have to sell off most of my collection. And I'm not going to do that, because I love what I've got. I love the range that I've got. But it's funny that things have changed in my mind when I can look at a knife and say, I'm going to buy that, but I want to use it. I'm going to buy that, I want to use it. I'm going to buy that, I want to use it. I'm going to buy this as my show knife, but already within a couple of weeks, I want to use it. I want to carry it. Is that just me, or is other people that have, you know, maybe not on YouTube channels, but just collected knives over a period of time, you find yourself using more and more expensive knives because the joy of using them is what's in the price. You know, when you're buying something at 600 or, you know, between 300 and 600 pounds, if you're buying something in that price range, you would like to think that they're absolutely fantastic knives, not just to look at, that they are to use as well. And I think I'm getting so much pleasure in now being able to use a knife like this. I use this like I would use a case. Exactly the same. There's no difference. I use it, I cut with it, I slice with it. You know, I'm not frightened of scratching the blade. Anything at all. It was bought as a user. And to buy a knife for £300 for a user, still to me, I still have that, what? What? What are you doing? Paddy, have you lost it? And probably, yes, I have. But it's fun. It is fun. And are these knives that you buy, these ultra expensive knives, so much better than all the others? That's in your own mind. That's in your own heart. This knife, it's a very simple design. It's a super blade shape. I mean, which has been copied and copied and copied. And this was copied off this blade shape. But I mean, this is such a generic blade shape. There's nothing fancy about the knife. It's the story behind the knife that I like. Chris Reeve, coming from South Africa, becoming an American, starting to make a knife there, and now has his family are taking over. And this is a super knife. A super knife. And it's just, I can send this back at any time after I've used it and it gets a bit dinged and danged. I can spend a small bit of money to get it refurbished and maybe a new blade if I needed it. But I can't see me ever needing a new blade. And I can't see me sending it back because I love a knife when a knife has been used properly. That's nice. And I mean, this is getting that sort of looks about it. It's not this bright and shiny new knife anymore. And when I carry it, I don't think about it. God, I've waffled on for nearly half an hour. Sorry, if any of this makes any sense to you, please like the video, because you're mad enough to stay this long. You may as well like it. Subscribe if you're not one of the subscribers, and usually 50% of you aren't. All that does, it's for free. It never changes to that. All it does is let you know when my videos go up. And if you want to be brave again and watch another one, it'll be there for you to watch. And comment. Let me know what you think on higher end knives. What do you think about them? Where's your price limit? And where's your price limit of use? Where's your price limit of use? It's funny that this and this are, this is a locket knife. This is a traditional knife. But I probably think more about using this than I do this. There's that. I bought this as a user. I bought this as a user. But this gets used more now. It gets used more now than this. Again, sometimes I don't figure it out. Why things happen. And then when I get something like this, whenever I've been able to slice a paper absolutely super, you'll know I started carrying this knife. There you go. And I'll let you know when I do that. Anyhow, sorry, it was just a bit of a jumble. That's it. Head cleared. On with the day. Thank you very much for watching. And this, highly recommend Dean Robertson as a custom maker. Just super knife. Ergonomic and just perfect. Bye-bye now.